Hello and welcome to this another episode of my podcast, Do You Believe in God? And today I have the delight and pleasure to have the lovely Alok with me. We haven't actually had a conversation, but I have seen some of the amazing things that you've been posting on Facebook. And this is a topic I'm really interested in diving into, this whole, can we believe in God without having to be religious? Is there a place for God in what's going on in the world? Because we certainly live in a crazy world at the moment. I love what you're up to. So I thought, right, let's just have a conversation about this and see where it goes. So do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are, and let's see where we get with this.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be here, to be part of this conversation. My name is Alok Appadurai. I'm founder of Uplift Millions. We are a global platform for beings who want to develop personally, spiritually, professionally, financially, and relationally, and really just come into who we are being as humans in a way that uplifts humanity for the highest and best. And I'd also tell everybody I'm a proud father to my son Sequoia, and a proud spouse to my lady Caitlin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, all of those things are things absolutely after my own heart. So my story, I ended up for many, many years in an abusive relationship, and I got out of that and got onto a spiritual journey. And I just don't view it in that way anymore. I can see, what I was doing. I can see my misunderstandings, his misunderstandings, and see if we can help people to get past these misunderstandings. Those kinds of things don't need to happen. And very much, I see what you stand for with your son. I see how easy it is in the world that we live in to get lost, both as a woman and a man, knowing our place, knowing our identity, knowing, how to show up, all of this kind of thing. It can be so confusing. And it's so easy to get pulled in directions that aren't healthy and aren't, easy for us to navigate. So I love how brave you are out there with some of the things that you share.
As I wrote today, I don't post to be like, I post to
Yeah.
lead, and
Yes.
and it's really a divine assignment. It's not because it's comfortable or fun. It often doesn't necessarily make me more friends, although here we are, you and I. But it's listening to the internal assignment and saying, I'm going to go for it. And there's a key phrase, which is come what may. So thank you for that acknowledgement. And I really also want to drop in, there's a quote from Rumi, it goes something like this. Yesterday, clever and wanted to change the world. Today, I am wise and want to change myself. And so I really honor, first of all, I honor both your heart in navigating a complex relationship that had certain ramifications at the time that it did. And I also honor your own ability to see it differently over time and have that shape you as a going forward basis. And I can feel the work that you're doing on yourself. Likewise, I tell everybody, I'm a daily work in progress. I'm nobody's guru. I'm a human who's figuring out this journey and just kind of courageously saying, here's the path I'm walking. Shall we walk together? We're going to go this way.
Yeah, and I think that is a huge part of it, isn't it? And I think that's what I really saw in the post that you were sharing. So you shared something about identity and influence and impact. Yeah. And it was so a huge part of the work that I'm doing. I feel very, very called um to help people find their identity, to help people, their calling. I saw you'd written something out. I saw a reel that you'd made saying that your calling might be your biggest leap of faith. And I see, yeah. Absolutely. And talking openly, for me, what I see is it really feels like a God calling. And, I'm not religious, but I read, in some of the things, one of the things that I really liked that you said was in your community and what you do is about honoring God, but not from a religious perspective. And I think there are so many people out there who have thrown that baby out with the bathwater. You know, maybe had a bad experience with religion or something like that, and then thrown that away and found themselves lost, because actually there is some amazing guidance there, you know, and about our identity. So,
I would call it the guidance,
yes,
in
yes,
my experience.
yes,
It's a great point. Yes, thank you. Within Uplift Millions, we ask people leave the politics, the religion, the social dogma at the door.
yes.
And if you can't do that, it's not going to work here in this space. And so that can be confrontational for people. But it really goes back to when I was 13 years old, and my father is Hindu, first generation from India, arrived by boat, and my late mother Carol was a white American from rural upstate New York, from a Christian ethos background, right? And these two things are very different in the landscape of religious frameworks. And as a young person, I was very confused, right? There's a billion people over here and a billion people over here, and they all think they're right. And I really didn't know what to do with that. And so I had a moment where, and this wasn't like I was sitting on some lily pad and all of a sudden all this happened, what I'm going to tell the listeners. But there was a moment where I basically just asked God, because I knew I should have already died a couple times. Like, I had some evidence that like there probably was something like maybe like higher power ish. Like, it's like I couldn't deny, but I was like really confused. So I remember I just asked God. I was like, I don't know who's right here, and all the humans have these arguments, and they all have these rules and these buildings and these books and this and that. Can I just have a relationship directly with you? And God was like, yes. And I was like, really? I didn't tell anybody. I'm not saying this is some sort of, special occurrence. It's not a chosen one thing. It's like, oh, this is available to everybody.
Yeah.
This is available to everybody. And so, if I ask people this one question, which is, which came first, God or religion? It's like,
yeah. You don't have to think about that for very long.
that was not a tough argument.
No, no, no.
It's not a tough argument. So,
Mm.
my view to anybody listening is you absolutely it feel like a voice inside of you, that inner voice, that inner narrative, God, source, universe. Well, you can put whatever name you want on it. I can go to mosques, I can go to synagogues, I can go to churches. It's all the same pathway to me, just with different architecture and different things. I know that may be confrontational, but anybody listening, you absolutely can have a relationship with God, source, universe, without religion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the religion piece, like you say, it's the politics, the religion, that's where we kind of get into this. I'm right and you're wrong. And it is one of the things that I play around with, something that I do, something that I call the love experiment. And that is because I have this real knowing that if we can find a way to come from love, not fear, and it feels like that there are two basic ways we can come from as a human being. Yeah, we can be rooted in love or we can be rooted in fear. And when we are rooted in love, we can have different opinions. It might be that you like this and I like that. Like you say, you go to this place and like eating this and like worshipping or not worshipping or whatever it is in this way. And I do something entirely different. But when we are rooted in love, there is room for that. And there is room for mistakes. There is room for discussion. And yet the minute that we go into fear, then we start to think we're not good enough, or think we have to be right, and all of those kinds of things, and it just destroys it. And so to me, that's where I see God. Like, God is love, God is that, God represents that. And it's like, okay, so how do we do that? And then the love experiment, let's experiment. Let's play, because I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't have any negative opinion about any of the religions. When people hear me say these things, they think I'm anti-religion. It's like I honor whatever your path to God is. I honor if you think there isn't a path to God. What God told me at 13 is I don't need to concern myself
Mm.
with how anybody else thinks. God also told me at 13 that I need not convert anybody to this way of thinking. And so I just invite people, believe what you want to believe. You need not put that onto anybody else. I had somebody come into my DMs wanting to save me the other day. And I let them know I can release you from this concern. I just don't believe any of the fear-based elements. For example, this is confrontational for some of my Christian brothers and sisters. I don't believe there's a day of judgment. I don't believe there's a God that will remove love from us under any circumstance. And so all of these things we just simply ask, what was human created as an idea? And I just say, if you want the fast path, if you want to get in the fast lane, skip all the human created apparatus and ideas and simply commune with God. And there you have it.
Mm. Yeah. It's so ridiculously simple, and yet we make it so ridiculously complicated, don't we?
Well, because it gets used as power structures. Humans have found that when you can insert yourself as a portal to something that somebody wants, you can have power.
Yeah.
And so, if we're being real in the history of humanity, power is a drug. And so there's a lot of different mechanisms for power. There's economic mechanisms, there's political mechanisms, there's social mechanisms, there's relational mechanisms, and there are religious
Yeah.
mechanisms. And so I just simply say, I don't need any human in between me and God.
Mm.
There is no human. And there's no possibility of a human wedging themselves. There's just no, it's of no concern
No.
to, and that's freeing.
Yeah, yeah, hugely freeing. I really heard something in what you just said then, and it's kind of making sense to me in the context of the love experiment that I play with, that idea that you said, because one of the things when we are coming from love, when we are rooted in love, we know that there is enough. And but if we are going to know that there is enough, but then root that in fear, what I see, that's what you were talking about, this idea. Oh, okay, so if I can get this thing and make people believe there isn't enough, then I will have power over those people. I can make money, I can sell things to, all of that in not a good way, not a sharing and an energy exchange and in an enough kind of way. But if we, and I really heard that in what you say, it was like a penny drop moment. Yeah, that's what fear does. When fear tells us we are not enough and there is not enough, if we can see those two and see, well, yeah, I can actually use that to my advantage. I can get whatever this thing is. And I remember actually reading about that in the Bible, God saying, don't store things up in that way and then use them to sell to people who haven't. There is enough, share it, give it out. Don't hoard in those kinds of ways. And we see people, you can see that in even during the pandemic when crazy things were going on and people were like hoarding things. There's not, whereas if we could have just, rather, if we could just take what we need, there's enough for everybody. But if we take more than we need, and then we can see this, oh yeah, I can actually sell this at a higher price to someone else and then control them. And it's, yeah, that's
Yeah, I I don't have as much resistance to. I think the question of more than enough is an interesting one, right? More than enough for what? For example, I have a mission to plant 1 billion trees during my lifetime. That is going to cost $250,000. I know the exact price points. I know the organizations that are already facilitating that. And so I've determined that I am to become a conduit. I wasn't born with that. I don't have a trust fund. Nobody in my family's done anything like that, right? It's like, do I know exactly how it's going to happen? No, I don't. So what's more than enough? Well, I think it depends on one's intentions. And I don't believe there's lack.
No.
The key for me is are we involved in commerce in such a way that has loving intent, that is not extractionary in nature, that is not using people and using them up and disposing of them, right? So I believe there's infinite abundance for all beings, capable and possible. There's more than enough for anybody's desires to be created. The key is not at someone else's expense.
Mm.
Is my view. I don't believe
Yeah.
God intended anybody to be poor.
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I don't know. I think there is more than enough for everyone. But it is this idea of taking, like if we, with loving intent, we will never be without. We are, and I guess as well, it is that rooted, when we are rooted in love, we have no fear of what we have. So there is no need to come from that place of, oh my gosh, I need to take this, even though I don't need it, even though I have no need of it, even though I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I'm just going to take it. And it's like, that's crazy. Like I'm hearing in what you're saying, yeah, I've got this massive idea, this huge plan to do this great big thing that looks impossible, but you're not planning, and there will be things that you will take to do that, but it will be intentional with love, with an intention to do something with it. And I think that's a whole different ball game. I mean, where I'm living at the moment, one of the things that I'm playing with, you can probably, I have we've bought a small plot of land, and we're building a house, me and my partner. And a part of that was that looked completely and utterly, it did not look like I had no money for anything. And I felt a calling. It was just a hobby of mine to look at land. I had this idea of wanting to build a house, but it was kind of like one of those, what, I don't even know why you go and do that. You've got £2.50 in your bank. Do you know what land costs?
Right, wonderful.
But it feels that every step of the way, something happens that allows us to do the next thing. It's like I haven't, we managed. I have no. It was literally it stunned me more than anyone else that we ended up that we own this piece of land, we live on this piece of land, and it's a building plot, but it's ours. We live off grid. We have our own water.
Wow.
We have solar panels for our electric. It's so much fun. We're having so much fun kind of working it all out how we do it. But it just feels like at each step, like we've got the money, we've just about got the money now to do the foundations for the house. So we're living in like a caravan at the moment. That's where I am, and you can see the land. We've got just enough money now for the foundations of the house. So in the spring, we will start that. We do not have the money for the walls yet. We do not have the money, but it'll just be like, and this is what I'm hearing in what you're saying as well, whether it's on a huge scale or it's, to me, it's like, well, okay, do what you can do here and ask God, step into this, do things. And when you need the next bit will be there. It will just be there. And that's been my experience in this far.
God, in my experience, God will meet us at the scale of our vision,
Yeah.
and the permission that we allow us to vision, combined with the emotions in our body of what we desire to feel, which are the signals out into the quantum field, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that activate the universe to recalibrate around what
Yeah.
that vision is. And so people can either hear that as some out there idea, or you can understand that I just said basically the entire creation formula that all of the greats have passed down from generation to generation, and it's occurring in your world.
Yeah.
You had an idea, and that idea was acted upon. and that led to a piece of land, and then it led to this, and it led to off grid, and then it led to the solar panels, and then it led to the money for the foundation, and then eventually that house will be there. And it all started with a vision that had enough emotion attached to it that felt in alignment with the highest and best for your family unit, and an example for the world.
Yes.
And I say she's listening to exactly why she's here. She's executing upon it. She's bravely calling in the resources for it at each step, and so be it.
Hugely. And that's, I can really see that. And one of the reasons that I share about what I'm doing is because to me that felt really, really big and really out of reach. But it is, again, this is identity and calling, and I can see the growth in me. A huge part of this has been, who do I have to become to do the next part? And I can see, like 12 months ago, I would not have sent you a message to have this conversation. It would just be like, well, I can't do that. And interestingly, it felt like I saw you on there and God kind of went, yeah, reach out. I've interviewed a few people, and each time it's felt like a nudge to reach out to this person. This will be a great conversation. And there's definitely been a little bit of like, and then it's been like, okay. And, I messaged you and straight back, you came straight back with the message. Yeah, I'm in for that. And it's like, wow, it just feels like, yeah, this is happening.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
See, this is why it's all magical, because I have set the intention that I desire to have these particular conversations. See, historically, people come to me for, how to conscious leaders. They hire me, they pay me buckets of money to help them grow their companies, transform their leadership, evolve into the identities, step into their voice, right? Particularly, I've had 70% female clients at Uplift Millions for all these years, right? Really helping women claim their value, earn their worth, right? Raise their prices, land bigger deals than they've ever landed. And I love doing that, right? That's major identity work. That's, identity influence, which is the ability to communicate effectively, that attracts a higher paying experience, etc. Right? And then the impact, which is the expanded vision for what they're capable of. And I've been, in the last certain number of months, been asking God, I'd like to be having this conversation, literally. And so I smile because I go, oh, thank you, God. God just sent me somebody who'd like to have this conversation. So just understand that by you listening, you're doing the other side of the equation of the request that I put out through Vision, which is to be on podcast interviews where I'm speaking about these pieces as part of the work that we're doing at Uplift Millions. Yeah. And lo and behold, you come and have the courage to use your voice, believe that you can, which is everything that I teach with all my female clients, by the way, all of them. Like, I just left a message for one. She's about to go to a 300-person event, and I was literally prepping her in a Voxer message, a one-on-one walkie-talkie message, literally to go in there, chin up, shoulders back. Two women. One's flying to Miami tonight for a dinner, which I assigned her to go to, with a really powerful female leader who's bringing together all these female leaders, and she's perfectly built for that. She's flying to that. I literally said, chin up, shoulders back, lady. That was my one-liner to her. Okay. Second lady comes in, and I'm like prepping her for this big event that she's going to go rock to grow her company. And so when we recognize that by having the courage, you had the courage to listen to God going, hey, I should probably talk to that guy. You gave me a gift, which was the literal reflection of the vision combined with the emotions in my body that I desire to receive more of in my life. So I get to tip my hat and say, thank you. Thank you for not shying away and having an old story hold you back. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This couldn't happen. This would not be occurring today on this day, the 23rd of October at 9 a.m. Pacific time, my time, if you had not said, hey, I do this thing. Would you like to have a conversation? I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I don't waste time when God delivers to me exactly what I've asked for. I mean, that'd be crazy. It's like literally nuts.
Yeah.
Right? People are always like, oh gosh, I wish more miracles would occur. I'm like, are you paying attention to the ones that God's already delivering?
Yeah. 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 That's what I'm seeing with this. It just feels miraculous the way it's bish bash bosh. It's just happening, and it's like, Yeah, and I see like the identity piece. I know that's a huge part. So I have conversations with God. They are literally amazing. And one of the questions, that I ask God, God, who do you see me as? Who would you say I am? Because my judgment of me is I'm not good enough. Or who do you
Right.
see me as?
That's
Um,
right.
and God told me that He sees me as a breaker of unhealthy patterns, and I can see and cycles, and I can really see, everything in my life has brought me to a space where I am so attuned to that. I can say it's literally like, oh my gosh, everything that happens, you've given me every gift I need to do that. And so I'm working with people doing that kind of thing, and it's so beautiful and so amazing. And then God's kind of saying, right, I want you to talk about me in this context. And I'm kind of
Right.
like, yeah, I'm not sure people want to hear about God. I can't use the G word. And it's like, no, I want you to bring me into these conversations. And I'm beginning, my business is kind of okay, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'll lose everything if I do
I'll
this. And
lose.
yeah, again, the same thing. And it's like, oh well, what the heck? um God said, create a podcast, call it Do You Believe in God? I'm like, I can't get out there and ask that question and do that. And then it's like, all right, okay, fair enough. A little bit like you, I've seen too often the whole thing with ending up owning this land. Literally, the miracle of that blew my mind, how that
That's
came about.
right.
And it's like, okay, if you can do that, God, I trust you. I will have this conversation with people. I will ask the question, do you believe in God? Um, because God is kind of saying, the cycles that are going on in our world at the moment, those cycles need to be broken. And one of the reasons that they're not being broken is because so many people are turning away or not understanding what the power, God's power, the power of love, not understanding that the power that is there, and being fearful, being pulled into fear, and innocently and accidentally destroying each other. And that's what I saw, in my relationship. I saw that both of us were really, really insecure and in fear. And then we just it was a terrible, terrible mess.
Right.
And yet when we turn that around, like you're saying, when we step into our identity as who we are, it is like the beautiful pictures get made,
Right.
beautiful threads come together. This conversation, it's literally like, wow.
The I'm not enough, right? This core human wound, it occurs. In part of what we teach in Uplift Millions is called the mastery path, and one of it is spiritual mastery. And I just share codes that have been passed down to me through that. And I believe that there's three phases of the human condition. We're born already perfect, and then somewhere in the early goes, the humans start telling us all these things. And through those experiences, all of a sudden we start questioning and wondering, whoa, wait a second, what do I need to do to be loved? What do I need to do to be accepted? I don't want to be kicked out of the tribe. Am I enough? Do I belong? Am I lovable? Right? These core notions. That's the second phase of the human condition. And for most people, that'll go the rest of their life. And the third phase is the return to the first phase. And so, one of the ways that we could do that is, can we see every being as a divine expression of God? Okay. So if I can see the divinity in you, it
Right.
must mean I too am the divinity that I see in you, which is the divine expression of God. Um, I've got one other thing are you open to something here?
Oh, totally open.
So I'm going to ask you another one of these questions that I asked earlier. So which came first? Ready? Here we go. God or gender?
God again.
Pretty, you and I are walking down the same path. So I always find it interesting, and this will be very confrontational for a lot of people,
I
but
think,
it's a notion that God is a him.
yeah.
To me, this is a human created
Oh,
apparatus.
yeah.
So you just literally will never hear me say he. Like, he, what do you mean? God came before there was like any cell structure of anything gender related. And I know that's very confrontational to entire theologies that are built on a premise of this sort of male genderized concept of God, he. But it's I just have this is one of those ones I've asked God about. God's like chuckles,
Yeah.
chuckles. Oh, love the
Mm.
humans somewhere along the way. And of course, where did that come from? It's likely part of a patriarchal structure that has men in power. And
Yes.
then you have women that are participating in a patriarchal system of communication. And these are very challenging ideas. And God and I have a big chuckle like, I came before there was a gender of any form, Alok. You need
Yeah.
not wonder about that.
I mean, definitely, God is just everything, all of it. There is no. I guess just through habit and through
It is. It's normalized.
yeah, exactly. It is that.
Nothing wrong. You're allowed to say whatever you want to say. It's just one of those little chuckles with God that I
Oh,
have.
totally.
It's like him.
Yeah.
And I'll give you another example of this. I lead a big live event called Transcendence, and I'll talk about God, source, universe. And
Mm.
in the last one, a woman stood up at the mic, and I know her. She's a client of mine over the years, and she said, "Listen, I really respect what you're saying up there, but can we also include goddess?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "Makes no difference, but that would imply that it's
Yeah.
female." And I said, "I'm just going to let you know, I believe God came before gender in either direction. When I say God, I'm not saying male."
No, or female.
And so
Mm.
it was really wonderful to just kind of see her receive this
Mm.
idea that it's not exclusionary, but I'm also not going to play the other side of the equation
No.
that God is somehow female. I believe God existed before
Well, that definitely,
all of
definitely.
that.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with you, 100%. Um, and I
I don't know if I'm right. I'm just staring what God told me. It was like, this is the
yeah.
order that it went, Alok. And
Mm.
I'm like,
Mm.
right, that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, makes sense to me too. That it is, if anything for me, what makes sense to me on that is it's all of it. It's both. It's not specifically one or the other. I think, God would have all of that. There's not a preference. There's not any of that kind of thing. It just is an isness. It's like all of it. There is no, and yeah, the whole. I see even with identity and things like this, it's not about anything being better than anything else, as well as
There we go.
yeah, it's not, and it's seeing it's not better to be in whatever way, whoever you are, whatever that means to you. It's like it's not like you can find something that is better, but it feels to me that we are unique aspects of the divine, and it feels like we come with preferences, with things we like, all of those kinds of things. And so the way I loved the way that you talked about, and definitely I see that whole we're very young when we decide we're not good enough in some way or another. And for me, the way that God spoke to me about that, and what I saw around that, was it feels like we're born perfect, like you said, and then along the way somewhere we create something that I call a lied entity. We create
Ooh.
this lie about ourselves, and we take on this lie identity, and the lie
Oh,
identity
write a book. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And I hope people pay me a lot of money to sit with them in moments where my body activates on something they have said. And I'm just going to signal to you right here on this podcast. I would deeply encourage, not because it has anything to do with me, but when people act upon, when my body activates based on a thing they've said, like it is to be acted upon. I would write the book. I mean, Identity, like I've not heard that. It's really good. And I would, oh man, I would write that book, and I would get out there with that.
Thank you. So it looks like we
Excellent.
we create this identity, and then somewhere along the line we kind of know that there's something, as we if we're headed in this direction, it feels like we feel something out of kilter. And then before we come back and return, if you like, it feels like to me, I've seen people come into something that I call a my identity. And that feels like they are trying to decide who they are. They are looking at that. And then what I see the coming back is what I call a God entity. And it
Yep.
feels like we ask, and that's when I ask God, God, who am I? Who did you make me to be? How was I created to be? And that feels like my God entity. And that when we step, and that is beyond, I'm not talking about gender or any of that kind of thing. It's not about that. And it's not a
I get
job.
it.
It's not what we do. It's, who am I in this? And seeing, so when I asked God that question, God said to me that, as I said, I am the breaker of unhealthy cycles. And it's like, yeah. And as soon as we receive this from God, it's literally like ping, 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 ping. You just see throughout that is just, yes, that makes so much sense that that's who I am. And then like stepping into that identity just makes so much sense. And a huge part, in this conversation, when we're talking, I can see for years I lived in not good enough and seeing other people and thinking, oh, I need to be like them. And then trying to be like somebody at my identity is like I'm trying to create something that will work and there's nothing wrong with learning and copying and all of those, but you can feel like the energy in us. Again, this is the energy and talking to God and all of this. Yeah, it's not quite right, is it? If I'm trying to be um Alok or whatever, I'm trying to be this. I'm not you. And much as, I admire what you're doing, it's brilliant. So I think, great idea. Stop being Deb. Stop being terrible mistake.
Yeah, I joke, I had this conversation with a client of mine yesterday who is just an extraordinarily powerful creator and being and leader. And I've worked with him off and on for a number of years. And I literally, this is the person I did the reel on yesterday.
Mm,
And when we believe that we're supposed to be like somebody else, we are calibrating ourselves around them. When we are who God assigned us to be, the world recalibrates around us. And it will be painful when we are doing option A.
yeah.
And we'll try to fit in. Well, if I talk like this, if I dress like this, if I post like this, or whatever, and it'll oftentimes not work. And the moment that we stop doing that, the universe literally recalibrates
Yes. Yes.
around us.
Yes.
I teach my
Yes.
son this. I
Yes.
say, son, he asked me one day, something about a haircut or something like this. And he's, 12, he's now turned 13. And I said to him, I said, son, there's two ways you can go about it. You can get your hair cut and pick your clothes based on what you think other people will like.
Mm,
But I said, that's not how we Appadurais function. We choose our haircuts and we choose our clothing and we walk into the room with our chin up and our shoulders back and we allow the room to recalibrate around us. And he was like, he didn't say anything. And I was like, just take that in, son. You have a choice, up to you. Because I don't tell him what to do,
no.
but I tell him what the lineage is of who he's coming from and how we operate. And my desire for him is that he understands that he gets to choose. And then you allow the room, the people, the humans, the environment to recalibrate around you.
And I think when we are coming, this is where I see it, the importance of being grounded in love and coming and understanding God, because exactly what you've described can happen when one of the things that I saw around the relationship I was in, the strongest energy will always win. And I'm really hearing in what you say, step into your energy. And if your energy is off, if you are operating in a lie identity, if you are confused, if you are bully energy, if you are people pleasing energy, if you walk in that, then that's what you're going to create. And it's like, so it's so important, I think, to understand and be rooted in love when you're doing that and stand. I have seen how firmly I can stand, no matter what is going on. If I'm standing in God, in love, the power that you have and the recalibration that happens is just, it's such a gift to absolutely everyone. And then I have been in rooms where people who, they're not coming from that love space, and they drag people in whatever way. I've been in business trainings where people are teaching things, and I'm not even saying they're bad people and they're doing that, but they misunderstand. They're desperate. They think they're not good enough, and they need money, and they need to manipulate the room and do these things, and they're in strong energy, and they don't half manipulate the room, and it's like, wow, to witness that. And this is what I see around the gift that God has given me to break those cycles. It's like, yeah, just see, you do have that power. Use that power really, really wisely, because it's not going to benefit you. You feel like it might benefit you because maybe you do, make a ton of money in that room, but do you go home? One of the things that I've seen when, obviously stalking you, is kind of seeing the things that you're teaching your son, and seeing. And one of the things, I've got 3 children, my 3 children are grown up there, and I have 4 grandchildren, but from their upbringing, what they went through, what they witnessed growing up, and then seeing that I could stand in a really strong energy, and even at an older age. And my son is now 27, and I am so proud of who he is becoming, how he is growing into a young man, because of these kinds of conversations. And seeing, if I can stand in my power, they can come to that. If I can be the strongest power in love and good. So I just think, yeah, it's so, and I see that the way that you share with your son in this way, what it looks like to me, certainly, that the energy, the feeling that I get, and obviously why we're here talking partly, is I see it's rooted in love, what you share with your son, and that's what you're teaching him. Yeah, be rooted in love, because there's not a way to know, like if you are parenting or running a business or leading people or any of those, there's not a one size fits all. It's be rooted in love in this moment, and be open to God sharing what to say next. It's like,
I mean, I tell him all the time, I am not perfect. I am unlearning so much of what is passed down to men folk from generation to generation to generation to generation. And my goal is that he simply is getting a different coding. And I had a wonderful father. He did the best that he could. He had a wonderful, it's all that stuff. But when he was 2.5, I made the decision to stop drinking alcohol. And I grew up, I witnessed so much alcoholism, a lot of violence, and like all of the extended households and everything. That was normal.
yeah,
And I realized at 2.5, and then, people would say, well, you don't have a drinking problem. I'm like, yeah, that's because we live in a society that's just soaked in alcohol,
yeah,
soaked in alcohol, right? I was the only person in my whole orbit that was sort of flagging to my own self, probably time to change your relationship to this thing. It took me a number of years to do it, but when he was 2.5, I said, there's a lot that I cannot control in his life,
mm,
but I can control if he grows up with a dad who's a drinker. And that, we can just, that was, at that moment, at that time, it was the most loving decision that I could make. And I've been imperfect ever since. I've been distracted. I've worked too hard. I've missed moments that matter. Man, I
yeah,
could go down the list of dad fails.
Mm.
But at the core of it, it's saying I'm just doing my best to pass along a new set of codes that are modeling to the best of my ability, imperfectly, a man who is in process, daily work in progress, willing to apologize when I make a mistake with him, when I make a mistake with my partner Caitlin, willing to look in the mirror and say, okay, what do I get to unlearn? What do I get to learn new? And where are the unconscious programs that are still holding back the quality of the relationships? You know, that's why when we talk it up with millions, it's not just about I can help anybody make more money. It's like, but when you start making these internal changes, what will happen is you're going to make more money, you're going to have better sex, you'll have a better relationship, your kids will look at you like superheroes, any excess weight will start falling off your body. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, do the inner healing work, God led, that heals those wounds, those stories, those traumas. You'll see all the external things just literally start improving.
Yeah, I so hear you on that, and that has absolutely been my experience. And I really want to acknowledge that decision you made when he was 2.5, because that is a decision rooted in love. And it's not, love says there is room for mistakes. It's okay. Love doesn't say you have to be perfect. It says make this commitment, make this decision, to do that to the best of your ability to come. And that was definitely a love-based decision. And then, okay, I might mess up, I might not do, and I might succeed in this, but I might mess up in something else. But it's like, yeah, we will. I mean, I mess up all the time, but it is, if we are earnestly trying to be rooted in love. And I see that, I heard something in the recording that you shared, the recent recording that you did, that being devoted to something. So, for me, the love experiment is definitely that is something I'm devoted to, and I love that way of describing it. I made a commitment to that, but actually, and then it has become, it doesn't feel like something hard or harsh or something I'm judging myself around. It's a genuine devotional commitment to, this looks like a really good idea, and let's do our best. This looks like, and the power that I see, some of your posts that I've read lately, I know there are things going on in the world. I mean, we could talk about all sorts of things going on in the world that just look so beyond us to do anything about them. And one of the things you said, I'm showing up as a leader, and in my way, that's kind of, in my little way, I'm trying to do the same thing. It's like, yeah, show up as someone who is trying to do something about these things that are happening.
That's right.
And to me, being rooted in love, I am blown away by the power that has to change things. And when things look so big, when we look at things going on in all sorts of places and it just looks like, what can I do? It's so big. And I think love, God, is so big. It's like, yeah, hold hands with me and we can do big things together.
And I invite you to ditch the word try. You're not trying, you are. You created this. This wasn't a try. You and I are not trying right now. We're doing it.
Thank you.
It's either doing it or not doing it. Yoda was spot on. Do or don't do, but there's no try. Right? And then the great Howard Zinn, one of my heroes, I'm going to botch this one, but he basically says, um, acts when done by millions of people change the world. Small acts. Small acts when done by millions of people change the world, or something. It's close to that. So, and if we think that our small act doesn't matter, well, imagine if everybody thinks their small act doesn't matter. Well, we know where that's headed.
Yeah, we're not going to do it.
We might as well do. So I don't even use the word small. Right? I just say, what's my contribution during my lifetime? I call them units of transformational energy. And I'm going to use them for the highest and best of what I'm capable of. And then eventually this meat suit will transition and my soul will move out into the field again, and there we'll have it. So it's there is no try, there's just create, and everything is a moment of creation. It's one of my mentors, my greatest mentor said, everything's a creation.
Yeah.
Everything is a creation. Every word that we say is a creation. Every action that we do is a creation. Every non-action that we do is a creation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Not doing
So
something.
what do we want to create while we are here? And you've nailed it many times in this, which is simply we can either create out of love or we can create out of fear. And I have 6 words that always guide me, that came to me a number of years ago, which is judge less, love more, go deep. And those 6 words literally encapsulate all of it. So people think that I'm judgmental in some of my posts. I'm simply inviting us to reconsider the current set of decisions that are leading to a current set of leadership structures that are leading in a direction that I don't view as being the highest and best for humanity. And so you can either view it as divisive or you can view it as an invitation for a reconsideration so we can raise the vibrational frequency one person at a time, which raises the collective vibrational frequency, which moves us out of a state of fear and into a state of love.
Thank you.
Twice.
That was, I've really, really, really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you. That has been
My absolute joy to be here.
really, really beautiful. So if anyone is listening to this and they are interested in finding out more about you and connecting with you, where would be the best place and easiest place? And I will obviously put something in the show notes, but where would be a good place for them to find you?
Yeah, wonderful. I would just honestly, I would invite them to come join the movement at upliftmillions.com. Just take a next step, come get on board. There's different ways that you can do that. And then they can find me on socials, either by my name or through the company. But the bottom line, the number one invitation is we are leading a movement of people who choose to be leaders inside of organizations, companies, and households. And we are leading in a certain direction. And if you vibrated at what I'm saying, there is a growing collective of beings, an alliance of beings that are saying, let's walk together in a certain way. We're creating what's called a cathedral of belonging. For those that are willing to let politics, religion, and dogma be at the door, leave it at the door. And if you want to walk with these beings in a certain way, then just go to upliftmillions.com and take a next step.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My honor to be here. Thank you so much for giving me this gift.